The demands have been many. There's someone right now. It certainly has to be one of the guerrillas. One of them is believed to be a woman. And this has happened time and time and time again. The door opening, the head coming out to see what is going on. It's become such a terribly tantalizing symbol of what's going on inside that head and that mind.
We were not as accustomed in 1972 to watching tragedy unfold live on television as we are today. But it was all so strange and so foreign and so new in 1972 that it was indelible. I think perhaps the most dominant image is the terrorist in the ski cap, the faceless enemy. They can be on live television and you still cannot penetrate their minds or their souls.
Since noon, the German negotiators had been stalling Issa, the terrorist leader, begging for more time to meet his demands. As the 5 o'clock deadline neared, they asked to see the hostages. Issa nodded his head and called upstairs. After he shouted in Arabic, the second-floor window opened, and one of the hostages then appeared.
At around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they brought Andrei in front of the window. And I couldn't believe it. I saw him in front of the window. His hands were tied behind his back. He was in like a little T-shirt. I saw that he was being hit with the butt of the rifle by one of the terrorists, and they pushed him backwards into the room, and they closed the window and they closed the curtain.
The Germans weren't satisfied. They asked to go into the room to see for themselves if the hostages were alive. Issa agreed, and Walter Troger, mayor of the Olympic Village, went upstairs.
It was a terrible sight, I must say. One of the victims lay under a cover. There was blood all over the walls, and the hostages were really desperate, I would say. I knew exactly that they were terrified, that they relied on us, on which decision or which or whatever we would decide to do with them or with the terrorists. And that was not easy for me to know that and know that I couldn't do very much.
In just a half an hour, the deadline will have expired. Arab guerrillas are still holding inside the rooms of the Israeli Olympic team 9 people, one of them believed dead.
When the German negotiators returned from their visit to the hostages, they reported they'd seen only 4, maybe 5 terrorists. With this piece of information, the Germans decided they should try to make a move. Policemen dressed in tracksuits, armed with machine guns, took positions around 31 Connollystrasse, ready to invade the building when they heard the code word, sunshine.
A police spokesman said a squad of 38 volunteers would storm the house if a deal had not been worked out with the Arabs by the deadline. The deadline appears to us to be less than 1 minute away. What you're seeing is live. It's happening now. And now we've gotten an official time check. It is 5 o'clock. This is the deadline. The storming, if it is going to happen, could happen at any moment.
The plan was to climb down the ventilation shaft, carrying machine guns, to get the terrorists and free the hostages. Suddenly, we realized that this could be like climbing into hell. We didn't have any information. We had no idea what was down there, where anybody was, how many people were dead. We knew nothing.
Deadlines have passed one after another. The final deadline passed almost an hour ago. Anything to report at all, Peter?
It is now extremely obvious that the lookout at this side of the building is carrying his weapon at all times. He closed the door for a considerable length of time, and John Wilcox from ABC, who is even closer than both you and me, in fact 50 feet away, tells me on our two-way walkie-talkie that the commando looks very much more nervous than he did a while ago, and he certainly has an apprehensive, darting about look from here, almost as if they do sense that something is very imminent.
When the 5 o'clock deadline passed, the world watched the German police on the roof, waiting for the moment they would strike. Another hour dragged on, with tension building minute by excruciating minute, but there was no sign of resolution.
At some point, several military people came into the control room and walked right over to my position right there and said, Turmkamera offen Sie, tower camera off. And I said, what do you mean? And they pointed up to a monitor, which they just happened to notice. Camera, that camera, off, now. And I looked up and I thought, oh yeah, that camera that we had on the Olympic Tower could see the roof of Building 31, and there were the snipers lying on the roof.
Das Kennwort Sonnenschein kam.
The code word sunshine fortunately didn't happen, because there was a camera crew taping us. Those pictures went around the world, and not only around the world, they also went straight onto TV screens of the hostages.
The Germans were at an impasse, and after an exhausting day of tense and fruitless negotiations, Issa wanted out. He demanded that the terrorists and hostages be given a plane so they could fly to an Arab country where the crisis could be resolved, and the Germans agreed.
Sunset, darkness, there's the Olympic Stadium, and here's the village, where finally the Germans agreed to let the Arabs take their hostages to the heliport, still inside the village.
A bus was parked under 31 Connollystrasse that would drive the hostages and their captors to 2 helicopters. The choppers would fly them 20 miles to an airbase where a plane would be waiting.
My point of view was that it was wrong to change the location, that it would have been better to do the decisive action in the Olympic Village, you know.
The final chaotic moments in the village were documented by ABC reporters communicating on walkie-talkies as they scrambled to piece together the movements of the hostages and their captors from Building 31 to buses and then to the waiting helicopters. What you are about to hear has never before been broadcast.
This is Peter. Do you have something to report to us from where you are? I certainly do, Peter. We have an immense flurry of action here. Suddenly, in the whole area between Building 20 and Building 12, they have been clearing out cars. Police officers in almost platoon-like numbers have been running past us and are now staging in front of us. We're building up, I think, to a climax. The light is on the second floor, but it looks like they're getting ready to, leave the building. Jeff Mason, this is Cosell, a police official standing here, clearing everybody away. Told me that a deal had been made. The Arabs would be coming out within 5 minutes, and they expect the arrival of a helicopter within 5 minutes. Advise Mason that there's a chopper just landed at the back of the Olympic Village here, roughly gate number 7. Can you see inside that building? I can, Peter. On the second floor, I see 3/4 of the room where the Israelis were only 5 minutes ago. They now have disappeared. Hear that at base. The building, according to John Wilcox, is empty. There was that bus that I said came in, just left, and it had quite a few people in it. This is arrived, Peter. The bus has arrived with the helicopters. Oh, yes, this is Vance Colvig, and I'm in the Olympic Hotel. One helicopter has just lifted off, and the second one looks like it's leaving the ground shortly. What I have seen are 4 hostages in one helicopter, and it looks like 5 hostages in the first helicopter that left. The commandos have automatic weapons, and they were holding them on the hostages. The hostages were bound, and one of them had on athletic pants and a t-shirt. The second helicopter is leaving right now.